Hello everyone! Today I want to show you how to paint this charming English cottage with a bird dog. It's a spaniel. I'm not sure what breed this is, but he's adorable and he's looking out the window like he sees a bird or a cat or something that he wants to go catch. So hence the title. I began by painting his face using burnt sienna, Indian red, and yellow ochre. Where it's really dark, I added a little bit of ultramarine blue to the back of his head. For the body, I mixed cobalt blue plus yellow ochre plus some permanent rose or quinacridone rose. I used ivory black for his eyes and collar. For the chair, I bumped up the color. The reference photo of the chair was a little bit dull, so I brightened the blue. I used phthalo blue and phthalo green and also some ultramarine where it's really dark. And eventually I went into the darkest areas with a touch of Prussian blue. The terracotta vase is Indian red, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, and a little ultramarine on the dark side. The lilies are permanent magenta. You can also use permanent red violet. And I used some quinacridone rose for the lighter pinks. I used permanent green for the leaves, and then hooker's green for the deeper green. I added some bright yellow using cadmium yellow for some of the yellow on the greenish yellow. For some of the white flowers, I gave them a little color to make them look like they're backlit by the window, using the same mixture I used for the dog's fur where he's white, which is cobalt blue, yellow ochre, and permanent rose or quinacridone rose. This fun portrait on the wall of an old Englishman, I had to pump up those colors too because the picture looks so old. You have to take your reference material and do a lot of interpretation. So I used ultramarine for the blue behind his head and yellow ochre in a very light wash on the left and a hint of green. And I made his coat cobalt blue. I used cadmium red and yellow ochre for his skin color. I painted the inside of the window using Indian red and ultramarine blue. And for the lighter part of the window, I used the same gray mixture that I make with three colors, yellow ochre, cobalt blue, and quinacridone rose. To support all these bright colors in the foreground of the chair and the flowers, I did a very light gray wash on the wall behind the bird dog, and I used yellow ochre and a tiny bit of cobalt blue and a tiny bit of rose just to keep it a nice gray color, and I didn't want it to be too warm looking. I added yellow ochre to the top of the old table. I made the shadow with cobalt blue and quinacridone rose. And where I made the table darker in the front and on the lower left-hand corner, I mixed ultramarine blue with mauve. For the green in the windows, I made tiny strokes of light green using permanent green and cadmium lemon. I really wanted to get that glowy look of the green trees out the window. And now I'm just going to go around making a few finishing accents, like little hints of darker blue on the chair using Prussian blue, and other little details where I felt it needed a little extra dark value added. I'm also finishing up by adding some light and shadow details. I added a nice warm red using burnt sienna and cadmium red to the floor, and cool shadows using just plain ultramarine blue. I hope you enjoyed this painting video and that you try painting this really cute dog looking out the window. Thanks for joining me and being a Patreon subscriber.